What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Good to see you all again. It's the weekend. Let's talk about something different. Let's talk about Bed Bath & Beyond. As always, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. It's just for entertainment purposes only, so let's be entertained. Wanted to look at the short interest. We know that there's some big names out there with some interest in this play as well, and what's going on in the charts. So maybe you saw through all the posts, a lot of calls went in the money. A lot of money was made in BBBY over this past week. Were you one of them? If so, awesome. Congratulations. So let's look at the Ortex briefly because that is quite interesting. So as far as the Ortex goes, we got 196.95 million short interest value there. The estimated short interest percent of the free float's clocking in at 46.11. Free float on loan 75.31. Shares on loan 52.31 million. Days to cover 5.8. Cost to borrow not really all that high. I mean, if we look at the live, it's coming in at 9.02%. There was definitely probably some covering that went on, I would say. So we'll probably check back in on Monday and see what's going on there. But live short interest percent of the free float, 43.64%. Live short interest, 30.31 million. So a little bit of a change from what we had, but we'll see. I mean, that's still significantly high for a company. And sometimes the shorts are right, and sometimes they just are not right. They're just pounding something whenever they can. So looking at it on the, let's look at it on the daily perspective, see possibly what could have went on. So we did have a little bit of a gap here that could have been filled in. So with that run on the gap, it was making some solid moves. Could that have been pushing for the gap fill? Could that gamma, could some of those shorts covering on this way up have, just continued the run right past that gap? I think possibly that was probably a pretty good indication of what all went on, just a collision of all of the perfect situation, circumstances, whatever is involved in the play, just coming together, colliding right around the gap fill, post gap fill type of thing. So, I mean, it had an awesome move, and I'm very curious if it's going to continue on some sort of terror like this. We know that Cohen has some very lofty goals out there. I think he has some $70 strikes that are quite a way. Well, they're not as far out anymore. The time's passing by. So, will it run enough for him to be able to capture some profits or cash in on those? It's got a long way to go, but if it continues some strong moves like that, and I think he has a little bit of, I don't know if I'd call it interest in the company, but he definitely is vocal about it. So to that degree, could he possibly pull off something? I think he could. I would not rule out that he could pull off something. So I'm looking at it, just kind of wondering, is this run going to continue? Kind of stopped right at a resistance point. So I'm going to be watching it, but I want to see where, if there is a pullback. I mean, it's been on a pretty solid run. I have a couple of different trend lines here. I don't know which one, if any, it's going to want to follow or even come back and test. But we're going to see what happens. I mean, a lot of those calls were more than likely not exercised. So a lot of those were probably dumped off. I think Monday might see, some of that come back into play as selling pressure, as they can dump off some of those calls that they could have possibly been hedging for if they were. We don't know what the market makers are doing, if they're hedging, if they're not. But I'm going to be watching this one closely because, I mean, I don't know if it's undervalued, overvalued. I don't know how many people shop at Bed Bath & Beyond anymore or how relevant it even is. But with short interest like that, if there's enough active vocal participants around, interest in the stock, it doesn't really matter so much about the fundamentals as far as the overall sentiment goes. So if there's enough in here that are interested in playing it to the long upside, then it has potential. And I just kind of want to see what happens. Is it going to base down here at the 750, or is it going to get up and above this $8.30 and really hold that as support? that's going to be my main focus, I think, on Monday, watching just how it responds, where it wants to go from there, because it does have quite a bit of upside potential. I mean, it can really get moving if it wants to. It's riding pretty high as far as the 200 MA goes on the shorter time frames, but if we pull it up on the daily, it's sitting all the way up at $14.49 still as of right now. That's going to change, but right around my top support resistance line that I have drawn here at $14.41. Do I think it's going to hit that in a day or two? I don't know. I mean, if it did, that would be outstanding. That would be an awful lot of money made, but the short interest seems to be high right now. Like I said, I want to check it out on Monday morning just to make sure more than what's anticipated wasn't covered in this kind of run, which I don't think it was. I mean, I'd just be guessing, really, but I'd like to see what those numbers actually come in like. There was quite a bit of volume, 52.7 million volume that came in, so there was a considerable amount of volume compared to what we're usually seeing, 3, 4, 5 times the amount of volume. And is that volume going to continue to be there? Is the interest going to continue to be there? Will it see a little bit of a pullback, or is this thing just going to be on an absolute terror from here? We're going to find out, but I think it's worth putting on your watch list and, kind of just keep an eye on it. I don't like to chase, but I would say, it just depends on where it bases and where it moves from there. If it's going to continue that upside, it's not necessarily chasing as long as you're testing a theory and you're playing with stop losses or at least a mental stop loss. You don't want to let it go against you, but if it bases above that $8.28 line and, maybe even comes down, tests it one more time to make a bounce, then it's not necessarily chasing. You're just playing in a different channel. Like I always say, you don't have to get every penny off of the move. You just have to find that base and then be able to run it from there. And I'm not a diamond hander. I'm a trader. I look for things that I can trade. I trade a lot of options because I just like to get in. I like to get out. And I don't like my money to sit there. So it's just about momentum, swing trading, if it's going to go, and you can play it either way, up or down, calls or puts. I don't care as long as you're playing it in the direction that it's going. So if it does want to make a retracement, obviously puts would possibly be the right call because you're sitting right at a resistance line. But if it does get up and above here and get moving, then you got to switch your mentality to calls. We don't guess the top. We don't guess the bottom. Right now, it is trending up, so you don't fight it. It tried to make the break, got rejected. Right now, it tried to make another break, got rejected. So is it going to make another attempt at that? You want to see that trend change before you try to start fighting any of the trends. It's easier just to play with the trend and keep an eye on your stop losses and just kind of go from there. I mean, with a move like that, I would expect some sort of retracement. I just don't know if this is going to be the base at $7.50 or, how aggressive it's going to move. It could come down and either play with this trend line or even all the way down to this lower safety net that's going to catch it down here, which is more in line with the 200 MA. But it is definitely a play that I would add to the watch list. And like I said, I am not a diamond hander. This is not a diamond hand channel. I'm not coming on here saying buy and hold to the moon. You can trade this in and out, whatever you want to do. The options chain has usually been pretty profitable, if they do move, and Bed Bath & Beyond likes to make those moves. So, it's close to the money, give yourself time type of thing. You don't got to get every penny. It doesn't have to be YOLOs. It doesn't have to be any of that kind of stuff, but we just like to look for good momentum swing, just something that's going to be moving. So wanted to pop in over the weekend just so that everybody can add that to their watch list if you're not already in it or already watching it, or if it's something that you're looking for as a side play. It's here. I'll probably talk about it a little bit here and there. It's not going to be something that I focus on every day, but it's definitely something that has my interest right now. Is just a side play, side hustle that you can just throw a little bit of change at either direction it's going. So hope you guys are enjoying the weekend. Hope you're having a great one, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for coming back and watching another one. You're always welcome to subscribe to the channel or drop a like or comment if you wish. As always, stay golden, people, and may your accounts stay green.